Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Greg. I have been on a language learning journey now for about almost 4 years, and I just want to share some of those experiences and just give anybody out here there who's doing that, who's learning, trying to learn a language, just give some tips and some advice, some of the things that I've learned in the past. So today we're going to talk about speaking and why it is so hard to speak in another language. Even when you get to the point where you can comprehend and you can understand and you can listen to things and watch TV, but you can't speak. Why is that? I think it's a struggle that everybody has, because especially if you really want to excel at something, you don't want to try to talk to somebody and it just doesn't work, where you just don't have a flow of the conversation and you're not able to express yourself, and this is really hard. I'm going to go over today a couple of the times that I actually was able to speak to somebody in Italy. The first couple times that I actually got to speak in Italian. That I just want to share those experiences, and again, just talk about why it's so difficult and what we can do to get over that. So, to start off, the first time that I actually spoke to anybody in Italy or in Italian, I really wasn't, I can't say it was a conversation because it wasn't a back and forth. It was literally just me trying to think of something to say and saying it. This was 4 months into my language learning journey. So I was in no way prepared to have a conversation of going back and forth and speaking to somebody. At this stage, I was just trying to think of what to say it, and hope that it worked. The first time, my wife and I were in Verona. And Verona's a little bit different than Florence and Rome. We had only ever been to Florence and Rome, and most people in the service industry, they speak English. Even if you try to speak Italian, if you're doing really bad and it's just easier to go to English, they'll usually just answer you in English. At least that's what we found. But in Verona, it was a little bit different. And for that reason, we liked that. We liked the fact that people weren't just going to speak to us in English. Most people were just speaking Italian. So the first experience, we got to our Airbnb and there was a pizza place across the street. My wife and I went over to get some pizza. And when we walked in, we didn't really have an opportunity to speak much Italian other than, ciao, buongiorno. Because the pizza slices, they're already pre-made. They were sitting in behind the glass, and really you just walk in and you point to a few of the slices that you want, and they turn around, they heat it up in the oven, and then they give it to you. So we were sitting outside, we were eating our pizza, and we got way too much, and we realized we needed a box. We were going to take a box, take some back, and at that point it hit me that I'm going to have to ask for this in Italian. So there I am sitting at the table, stop the conversation with my wife, and I'm just sitting there, and after a while she says, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm trying to think of how to say, can I please have a box in Italian?" And I finally formulate it in my head, and then I rehearse it over and over and over in my head. Posso avere una scatola, which means, can I have a box? So, per favore, please. And so I'm saying this over and over and over. I walk in and I finally ask him for the box in Italian, and the gentleman turns, grabs a box, hands it to me. I say thank you, walk out the door, and that was it. And I was able to talk to somebody and communicate in Italian. And again, this wasn't a conversation, but it was getting my point across, and it worked. So I was happy. We went back, had our pizza. It was a good day. The second time, it was in a situation where I knew that I had to get this right, because what had happened, I went to the grocery store, paid for some groceries, came back. The next day, I opened up my wallet and I realized that my credit card was gone, and I had left it at the grocery store. I'll do another video on differences between the United States and Italy with regard to exchanging money and in credit cards and things like that. But anyway, I left it there, and I realized, okay, I'm going to have to get this. I'm going to have to approach the person who's at the cash register, who's probably already busy with other customers. I'm going to have to interrupt them and try to ask to see if my card was there. And I didn't know if this was going to work. I was afraid that she might say something back in Italian to me that I didn't understand, and she doesn't speak English. But anyway, so there I am walking to the grocery store. Same situation. I'm repeating over and over what I need to say. And all I wanted to say was, I think I left my credit card, or I think I forgot my credit card here. Is it still here? Do you have it? Something along the lines, like that. So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, I've got to go up there and say, mi dispiace, ma penso che ho dimenticato, ho lasciato la mia carta di credito qui. È ancora qui. Is it still here? And basically I just said, I think I left my credit card, or I forgot my credit card here. Do you know if you still have it? Is it still here? So I'm saying that over and over and over in my head, thinking, I'm just worried. Why? I don't know. I'm just having a conversation with somebody. It shouldn't be that nerve wracking. But I walked into the store. I said what I needed to say, and she immediately acknowledged. And it was the same cashier that I was talking to, that I dealt with yesterday. And she asked me, she gave me a little sign like credit card, and she said, "Is it blue?" And she said it in Italian. And I said, "See, yes, it is." And she said, "Okay," and she got the manager. The manager went back to the store, got the card, came back out. I exchanged my information, showed him my ID, and he gave me the card, and it worked. And again, this was amazing, because this was way outside of just simply saying hi, or how much does this cost, or something typical that you would say in another country. So I was super excited about this. Again, had she said anything back to me other than blue, I probably would have been lost, but it worked and I was excited. Fast forward to the end of our trip, and really this was, aside from a few very small interactions with a few people, this was the last time that I tried to say something to somebody right before the end of our trip. We were at the airport and we were ordering some food, and I walked up to the person at the register, and I just asked for a couple of sandwiches or burgers or something that was there at the airport. And she turned to me and said something way longer and a lot faster than what I was expecting, obviously in Italian. And I thought, I'm lost. I have no idea what she said. And then I had to step back and say, okay, and I said, "Excuse me, do you speak English?" And she said, "Sure, I speak English." And then she told me that something was down in the kitchen and they weren't able to make anything, and it would be about a 20 to 30 minute wait. And luckily she spoke English. But again, this was at the airport, and a lot more people in the service industry in the airports will be able to speak English. So, but again, it shows that at that stage where I was with Italian, only 4 months in, I was in no way able to have a conversation back and forth. I could formulate a sentence in my head. I could say what I had to say, and that was going to be about it. If the response wasn't yes, no, or something very small or short, then there was going to be that was going to be the end of the conversation. So again, I remember my first couple conversations on Italki, and this is a platform just to talk to an instructor, a teacher, or a tutor, and you pay anywhere between $8 to $20 an hour to talk to somebody. And the first couple conversations, it was bad. Even though I waited almost 2.5 years, I wasn't able to say what I wanted to say. I wasn't able to express myself. And I think a lot of this had to do with waiting so long. And this is why I say, don't wait so long. Don't think that if you wait long enough, you're just going to be able to have a perfect, easy conversation with somebody, because it just doesn't happen that way. Even when I practice on camera and I'm talking to myself on camera or telling a story, it's still different than interacting with somebody. It's still different than asking questions to an individual and having questions asked to you. It's also different in the fact that immediately after you're finished speaking, they're saying something to you, and you're having to translate that in your head. You may have missed something, and then you have to try to think of the response that you want to say back, and then you have to say it, and you have to formulate that and say it. So it is much different than just having a conversation, recording a conversation or having a conversation in your head. Another big thing is speaking out loud. Speaking out loud makes a big difference. I can have a perfectly fluent conversation in my head when I'm driving down the road and I'm thinking of a conversation, but it's totally different when you actually transfer from brain to mouth. Things don't come out exactly the way you want it. So, but the more practice you make, or the more practice you have, the easier it's going to be. And the more conversations that you have, it just becomes easier. That fear goes away. While your progression is not always going to be consistently going up, you're not going to have one conversation today and then the next day it's going to be better and the next day it's going to be better. You're going to have days where it falls through the floor. I'll have 5 or 6 conversations that went really well and then have a terrible one. But you can't get too down on yourself, because that's just part of the process. It's going to happen. Just know that it does get easier. Start out by speaking to yourself. That does make a difference. But again, just know that that fear is always going to be there when you're talking to somebody. Another thing is when you're watching a video or you're watching a movie, if you miss a few words here and there, it's no big deal, because you just continue watching, or you go back and listen to it, and you just it doesn't affect anything. When you're having a conversation, a one-on-one conversation with somebody, and you missed those 2 words, that could change the meaning of what that person's asking you. So all this to say, keep practicing. It will happen. Speaking is by far the hardest thing. It doesn't make any sense that you can understand somebody at 90% level, but you can only speak at a 20% level. It doesn't really make sense, but that's just how it works. And the more you practice, the better you're going to be. So send me a comment if you've been to another country and you've tried that speaking experience for the first time and you've had problems, or you work through it. Let me know. I want to hear about it. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. There's going to be more videos coming out. I'm going to be trying to do a regular schedule of Tuesdays and Fridays. So every Tuesday and Friday, you'll see a new video coming out. And we'll see you next time.